Tension in Beijing's crematoriums, street paper burning becomes commonplace. Shocking political rumors continuously emerge from the CCP. Shangfu defected to the U.S. CCP financial crisis, soldiers exposed to half-year salary reduction without subsidies. CCP's finance minister urged not to spend even a penny recklessly. Chinese banks cut travel expenses, executives to book the cheapest seats on trains. It's all covered in today's China Truths. Tension in Beijing's crematoriums, street paper burning becomes commonplace. As of the beginning of 2024, the pandemic continues to have a severe impact on mainland China, leading to extreme overcrowding in children's hospitals. In Beijing, residents are reporting a significant increase in deaths, which is straining the capacity of crematoriums to such an extent that connections are often necessary to arrange cremations. Notably, on January 3, a reporter from the Epoch Times interviewed Beijing residents, Mr. Li, and observed increasing instances of paper burning at street intersections, a traditional way of mourning in the city. This rise in the practice suggests a growing number of deaths. The lack of transparent pandemic reporting in mainland media has only heightened public uncertainty and fear. Mr. Li recalled that since late October of the previous year, he frequently observed people burning paper between 6 and 9 p.m. The amount of ash left on the ground was an indicator of the number of recent deaths. He also remarked that many elderly residents in his building, primarily occupied by professors, have passed away in recent years. These deaths often went unnoticed until they were inquired about, typically being handled discreetly by the deceased's former workplaces and close associates. Furthermore, all cemeteries in Beijing now prohibit the burning of paper, a practice that is officially discouraged by the authorities. He also described the ongoing severity of the pandemic, highlighting the extreme pressure on Beijing's crematoriums and funeral homes, which now require connections for access to their services. He pointed out that, due to the high number of deaths, cremations are now occurring around the clock, leading to the expansion of many funeral homes. Mr. Wang, a resident of Beijing, told an Epoch Times reporter that the pandemic situation is barely covered in the state media, but whatever is made public is all false. As a result, the public is now extremely anxious and fearful, not knowing what to do. To minimize risk, people are limiting their activities to essential travel between work and home, and relying on takeout for meals. However, this constrained lifestyle, especially in winter, exacerbates their anxiety due to limited social interaction, lack of exercise, and heightened fears about the pandemic, leading to a state of confusion and heightened anxiety about how to cope with the ongoing situation. In conclusion, Mr. Li expressed his belief that the Communist Party is a major evil cult and a significant threat to humanity. He suggested that the world under its influence resembles hell, a sentiment he believes is shared among university professors, teachers, and some government officials, particularly those above a certain rank. According to Mr. Li, these educated individuals and senior officials do not align with the party's ideology, a fact he claims is well known within the party's upper echelons. He indicated that China might be on the verge of significant change. Shocking political rumors continuously emerge from the CCP. Shangfu defected to the U.S. Recently, there's been a flurry of rumors regarding the upper echelons of the CCP, suggesting that CCP leader Xi Jinping is facing a crisis. The latest unverified bombshell circulating on social media on January 3 suggests that Li Shangfu, the former CCP Minister of National Defense, defected to the United States with a trove of confidential documents. If true, this would be a significant political blow to Xi Jinping. Li Shangfu has been out of the public eye for 4 months, following his removal as defense minister amid corruption allegations. That same day, as previously reported, Mr. Yuan Hongbing, a Chinese-Australian legal scholar, made headlines in Taiwan's Liberty Times with a political ad. He claimed a coalition of Red second-generation CCP members, spearheaded by Liu Yuan, is demanding Xi Jinping's resignation. Mr. Yuan forecasts a high likelihood of Xi losing power in a major crisis in 2024. Observers interpret these rumors as signs of impending instability and crisis within the CCP in 2024. Lu Feng, in an online article, captured the sentiment, noting that various sectors of Chinese society, from the general public to government officials and even CCP high-ranking members, are anticipating change. The question of what exactly they're waiting for remains unspoken but understood by all. The article outlines the CCP's current predicaments. Economically, the real estate market is nearing collapse, exports are in freefall, unemployment rates are soaring, foreign investment is retreating rapidly, small businesses and storefronts are shutting down in droves, and the stock market has regressed to levels from 30 years ago. Hong Kong is nearly in ruins. Diplomatically, China finds itself isolated, with only a handful of allies like North Korea, Iran, Russia, and some African nations, while facing opposition from a global coalition including Europe, the U.S., Japan, South Korea, and Australia. The CCP is also experiencing internal turmoil. The article highlights the rapid downfall of several key figures personally appointed by Xi Jinping, including the foreign minister, the defense minister, and high-ranking military officials. This has led to widespread panic and fear within the CCP, with no one feeling secure, not even Xi Jinping. Such instability is typical under totalitarian regimes. The article concludes by predicting that 2024 will be a tumultuous year marked by unexpected and significant events. Black swans and gray rhinos will appear en masse, sweeping over in a dominant fashion. CCP financial crisis, soldiers exposed to half-year salary reduction without subsidies. The strict zero-COVID policy over the past 3 years has severely depleted local finances. Since the latter half of 2021, there's been a widespread trend of salary cuts for public servants across nearly all Chinese provinces, resulting in the elimination or reduction of allowances and bonuses. Informed sources have informed the Epoch Times that these salary cuts have now spread from civil servants to the military sector. Mr. Hua, a businessperson and retired soldier, shared with the Epoch Times, "Now everyone, including many civil servants and retired older people, is running out of money. Their wages are not being deposited on time and are being delayed." He noted that the delay doesn't mean non-payment but rather a postponement of half a month to a month. This issue is prevalent not just in state-owned enterprises but also within the military, with many of his former comrades experiencing a lack of their allowances for about half a year. Xi Jinping, in recent years, has ramped up investment in the military to achieve anti-corruption and strengthening goals, decreeing that military officers' income should primarily come from wages without any other so-called gray income. Consequently, military personnel saw significant wage increases in 2014, 2018, and notably in 2021, where their salary hike was 20% higher than that of civil servants, generally exceeding the pay of local civil servants. Since October 15, 2023, the government has implemented the temporary regulations on the treatment guarantee for military civilian personnel, further enhancing their benefits. Mr. Hua clarified that while wages, disbursed as a special fund by the state, remain stable, other subsidies provided by local governments have disappeared. Local finances are drained, and now many civil servants, including teachers, haven't been paid for over a month, some even for several months. Mr. Kai, also a retired soldier, recalled that around 2015 or 2016, their wages were modest, only a few thousand yuan, with those serving for over a decade earning about 6,000. Subsidies were minimal, constituting less than a third of the salary. He mentioned regional variations in military wages and allowances, such as high-temperature subsidies in summer and heating subsidies in winter, all directly disbursed by the military and not by local governments. Military research institutions are also facing salary cuts. This trend has emerged alongside the Chinese Ministry of State Security's strict ban on any negative discussions regarding the country's economy, leading to the removal of numerous online posts. However, a post dated December 18, 2023, on a mainland Chinese social media platform revealed that many research institutes in fields such as aerospace, electronics, shipbuilding, and weaponry have initiated salary reductions, with the cuts ranging from 5% to 30%. Interestingly, prior discussions regarding salary reductions in military research institutes had been deleted, along with their content. However, this information has not undergone independent verification. The CCP treats military personnel's wages and benefits as state secrets. An article on the CCP's military website highlighted the importance of safeguarding military secrets on wage slips. Ms. Bai, a retired female soldier now living abroad, told the Epoch Times, "The intensity of anti-espionage propaganda is alarming. Any interaction with foreigners immediately raises suspicions of espionage. This tight control is due to the catastrophic implications if such information were to leak: a crippled economy, no means to wage war, no money, no ability to pay salaries." She concluded, "Every sector in China is currently in dire straits, experiencing significant contraction. Salary reductions are a common event across the country. The police, as intricate cogs in the CCP stability maintenance machine, face cuts, and it's a given that the military is experiencing the same. The Chinese Communist Army may lie flat. The diminishing benefits for CCP soldiers and police indicate that the CCP authorities are truly running out of funds and lack effective incentive mechanisms. This could lead to them adopting a lying flat approach, similar to the local bureaucratic system." Wang Huntao pointed out that despite common perceptions of Xi Jinping's increased strength post-20th National Congress, the reality is quite different. The entire government apparatus is essentially inactive, and there's a noticeable gap in leadership succession, marking this as a particularly weak phase for Xi Jinping. Wang also discussed the White Paper Revolution, often cited as the most significant act of resistance since the 1989 Tiananmen Square protests. He highlighted a bigger movement during former Premier Zhu Rongji's state-owned enterprise reforms in the late 1990s for WTO entry, which resulted in the closure, merger, or transformation of hundreds of thousands of enterprises and 20 million layoffs, leading to widespread and well-organized labor protests, eclipsing the scale of the White Paper Revolution. Reflecting on the first decade of the 21st century, he recalled violent clashes over land requisitions and demolitions, citing instances like farmers in Shanwei fighting armed police with improvised explosives. These conflicts were quashed because local governments and officials profited from land deals, demolitions, and state enterprise sales, motivating them to act. Wang further explained that initially, the armed police were empowered, with local public security bureau chiefs acting as their political commissars. This dynamic changed when CCP leaders, fearing a possible coup by the armed police, centralized their control. He noted a shift in military involvement in disaster relief. In the past, the military was proactive during disasters, but this has changed in recent years. For instance, during severe flooding in Zhuizhou, the 38th Army was deployed mainly to protect Beijing and prevent floodwaters and victims from entering the capital. This hesitancy to delegate military power, according to Wang, stems from fears of a military revolt, leaving local governments powerless against movements like the White Paper Revolution. He concluded by saying, "Now, when Xi Jinping is at his weakest, the entire government is lying flat because there's nothing to gain. If I help suppress the White Paper Revolution, I'll alienate the public, reap no benefits, and potentially end up as a scapegoat." CCP's finance minister urged not to spend even a penny recklessly. Faced with the declining economic situation, the Beijing authorities have no other choice but to tighten the belt. Regarding the fiscal policy for 2024, China's Finance Minister Lan Fon once again called for tight living and demanded that not a penny of money that should not be spent is spent indiscriminately. In terms of the so-called improving quality and efficiency, Lan Fon said, "Work hard to implement the tight living requirements, save all the money you can, don't spend any money you shouldn't spend, and concentrate your financial resources on big things." He also said that we will resolutely investigate and deal with violations of laws and regulations. Lon Fowen also mentioned that the fiscal deficit rate was set at 3% at the beginning of 2023. Many places in China suffered from heavy rains, floods, typhoons and other disasters in the middle of the year, so an additional 1 trillion yuan in government bonds was issued in the fourth quarter. Correspondingly, the fiscal deficit rate increased from 3% to about 3.8%. Current affairs commentator Wang He previously wrote an article analyzing that although Lon Fowen has worked in the financial system for nearly 20 years and has 8 years of auditing experience, he has no experience in central government work, so it is quite unexpected for him to take over the Ministry of Finance. Wang He said that China's current economy is in a bad state, its finances are tight, local debt may explode at any time, and financial risks have intensified. The challenges faced by Lon Fowen are not insignificant. Chinese banks cut travel expenses, executives to book the cheapest seats on trains. Many Chinese banks, including Industrial Bank, China Minsheng Banking Corporation and China CITIC Bank, are reducing travel expenses, which is one of the measures to further control expenditures in line with Beijing's common prosperity policy. This information was reported by Bloomberg, citing people familiar with the matter. According to the source, Industrial Bank told employees late last month that local branch executives and domestic business leaders should try to book the cheapest seats on trains. Accommodation budgets in major Chinese cities have been cut by at least 10% every day. Other brokers and banks are also working hard to cut costs in the face of profit pressure and signals about spending from the Chinese authorities. Last year, the Central Commission for Discipline Inspection of the Communist Party of China published a 3,500-word commentary calling on financial practitioners to combat hedonism and extravagance and get rid of ideas such as financial elitism. In addition, the Ministry of Finance also urged state-owned banks to control their budgets and reduce wages and costs. At the same time, the CCP authorities have continued to push banking giants to provide support to troubled real estate companies and local government financing platforms, exacerbating the difficulties of China's financial industry. As of September 2023, banks' net interest margins were 1.73%, a record low. That's below the 1.8% threshold analysts and industry practitioners believe is needed to maintain reasonable profitability. Meanwhile, bad loans hit new highs. There is speculation that the continuous revenue growth momentum of some state-owned banks in China since 2017 may be interrupted. Authorities have provided some easing measures to banks, allowing them to cut deposit rates and slash reserve requirements to boost their lending capacity. However, Fitch Ratings, one of the big three credit rating agencies globally, along with Moody's and Standard & Poor's, believes that these changes will not be enough to offset the impact of lower loan rates and prevent profit margins from falling. Bloomberg Intelligence expects margin tightening to intensify in 2024 and put pressure on profits. Don't forget to comment in the section below to share your opinions on today's topic with us. If you find the information helpful, please share this video with a friend to watch together. This will be a great source of motivation for our team to produce more and more quality and reliable videos. And also don't forget to like and subscribe to see more interesting topics from China Truths. Thank you for tuning in.